Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. I am your host, Wrestling Chris G, and today is a very, very special episode. So, he is the dragon, the baby dragon of the group. It's good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, man, how you doing?
Well, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I do have a baby face, and it's just, like pinchable cheeks. And
yeah, you're the baby. Technically, you're older than me, so I'm the baby. But this week, we're just gonna roll with it. You're the baby dragon of the episode this week, Doug.
Yeah.
So how you doing? It's a little peeled back behind the curtain, but it's been a hot minute since we've actually been recording. Since I've been having some remodeling done here at my house.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure I've brought it up on a decent number of episodes before, but I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons why we kind of wanted to build up the backlog that we built up, just because life is gonna happen, and we haven't been recording, but every Saturday without fail, y'all have gotten an episode, and it's apparently, looking at the numbers that come in at the end of each week, they've been steady.
Yeah, we just this past week, it seems like we've gotten a new core audience, so it's really nice to see that, and that we're not just talking into a microphone and just talking to ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, and whether this is your first episode or whether you've been with us since episode 1, anybody that sits down and listens to us for an hour and a half, we appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. And I thank every single one of you that's been on this journey. And we're almost at a year, Doug, listening wise, for our audience. We're almost there. So I kind of feel like me and you need to talk off air that we should do something for our 1-year anniversary.
Yeah, and that just, I mean, it's cool to be almost at a year, but all that does is serve to remind me of the initial lockdown procedures.
That's true.
Which is depressing in its own right.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, in our own context, and I'm sure we'll talk about this when we do our other podcast that I hope everybody's also listening to in one way or another. We're only a couple weeks away from one of the last shows with fans, full stop.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, we're a couple weeks out from that. Holy shit. We're what, three or 4 weeks out from that. Actually, about a good month from now, because today we're recording on February 9th, 2021. So, yeah, everything stopped and came to a halt at the beginning of March of last year. Holy fuck balls.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's just kind of like, holy shit, we've been doing this for almost a year.
So, yeah, we're getting there. We're not quite there yet. We still got a little bit of time. We still got a couple months left, but me and Doug will talk about something off air. Because honestly, I think around our 1-year mark should be about the time for our Mewtwo movie. So I'm gonna have to look that down and get some statistics done. But we might be able to do something special.
Yeah, no, I mean, and obviously I'm excited to do that movie. I mean, I can see a world where that's a big mammoth Saturday recording, or whether we chunk it up.
It's a long movie. But it's not too much longer than the first movie that we did.
No, but I could also imagine we want to kind of
dive a little bit more.
Over that. Yeah,
A little bit more in
I mean,
depth.
because as much as I enjoyed, um, I Choose You. This was the first proper like, oh my god, there's a Pokemon movie that we have to go to the theaters to see.
Dude, I don't know about you, but I was so hyped when that movie came out and I had to go to the movie theater to go see it. And when you went to the movie theater, they gave you that nice little Pokemon card for going to watch the movie. And then
Oh yeah.
and then remember Burger King had the exclusive rights to the Pokemon like toys, and you can buy like an exclusive like gold Mewtwo, and Pikachu like plate. It was like a little rectangular like little plate that came inside of like a big Pokeball. I had all three of them, three or five of them.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, I don't know how many there were. I had them all. So, because I actually would beg my dad instead of just buying me food just to go there and ask them if they had a specific one. So, don't know where they are. Kind of got a little perturbed that there was a Pokemon card that was going for $750,000. It's a first edition holographic Charizard card that I had two of, and I have no idea where any of my Pokemon cards are.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had a freaking binder full.
same here, and I have no
And
idea
I
where my binder is.
I feel like it was a victim of a yard sale.
Someone that had that card, Doug, if you had that card, sold that card and made a bunch of fucking money off of it. Sad. Sad.
Well, and good for them, because at least somebody got some profit out of it.
Yeah, I asked my cousins, I said, "Did I give you that card?" And they said, "Nope." Think they're lying to me. They're like, "Why? What was so special about that card?" So, but
Yeah, just in case I do see it. Well, why would I be so excited to hang on to it for you?
so but yeah, today's episode that we're going over is episode number 35, the official 35th episode of Pokemon, not the official US version. But today's episode is called The Legend of Dritini, which aired November 25th of 1997 and never officially aired here in the US. So this is not like Beauty and the Beach where it got dubbed over a couple years later. This one still to this date has not been released here in the US.
And probably won't be.
No. No. I mean, it you're talking how many years has it been? It's been 20. Let's see. Hold on. It's been 24 years. No, 23 years as of right now. So, yeah. Shit.
Damn.
Yeah. So, that being said, Doug, I know this is a thing. So we're going to go back on the date of the Japanese air date of November 25th. And Doug, I know you have yours because mine just happened this past November. So I know your ass beat me this week. So go ahead and give your ode on this date for this week.
So on this date, on November 25th, 1979, Pat Summerall and John Madden broadcast a game together for the first time, kicking off a partnership that would last 22 years and span across multiple networks.
I was about to say, get the fuck out of here. That on this day, this is when they first got together?
Yeah, and
holy shit.
They were basically, as we were little kids, they were basically the voice of Fox football on Sunday afternoons. They were the A squad over on Fox. They were they obviously they were the broadcasting team in the on the early Madden football games. Um, you know, John Madden would do most of the talking, and then when a play would happen, that would be Pat's time to kind of pipe up, and then once the dust would settle from the play, John would go back to telling another story. But I mean, that's just I have so many memories of just watching football on Sunday afternoon and just hearing John Madden, and then obviously, um,
One of the richest broadcasters.
well, yeah, he's a pioneer in sports licensing, obviously with the Madden franchise. Um, that's it's still active today. Obviously, if anybody's turned on PlayStation or Xbox.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
so yeah, and this is kind of why I like doing this because I had no idea that it was just a random Sunday in November. I mean, I'd have to look up 1979. I mean, for all because this is close to Thanksgiving. For all we know, this could have been Fox's Thanksgiving Day game.
It. Oh
Um,
shit! It could have. I mean, November
could have.
25th. November 25th. Okay, give me 1 second, Doug, because I actually want to give this statistic while we're doing this real quick. November 25th, 1997. Oh, this.
79, 79,
Oh,
79.
79. Sorry. All right. Let's see. What day does this land on? Du, du, du. What is special about the 25th of November? Ba, ba, ba. It doesn't say.
No, well, no, it was a Sunday,
It was a Sunday.
but yeah,
And
that is kind of weird that it's not even like the first Sunday of the football season. It's just like because Thanksgiving that year would have been on the 29th.
oh, yeah, the Cleveland Browns were at the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Miami Dolphins faced off in Baltimore to face the Colts. Those were your games.
So, but yeah, so just random Sunday in November '79. One of the more iconic pairs of broadcasters got together, and they would be together for 22 years.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Doug. As always, bringing in those historical um, sports analysis on our show. I like it. Mine just happened last year. Just actually a couple months ago from this recording, but New York Times named Denzel Washington the number one actor of the 21st century so far, is what they put in. They made sure to put in quotes, so far. So yeah, that's pretty huge. I mean, he's had a lot of great movies, and what, Training Day,
Glory,
Glory, yeah,
Remember the Titans.
probably one of his best movies. Um, what
Definitely the one I've probably seen the most.
what was?
Equalizer.
Yeah, Equalizer. I'm trying, and one of them I've seen like 10 times. I can't think of the name of the movie. I think it was called Flight. Was it called Flight?
Oh yeah, yeah, Flight.
Yes.
And I'm sure people are like smacking their heads as they're listening to this because you've all seen the trailer where he's flying the goddamn plane upside down and shit.
Yep. so yeah, mine's not going to be as drawn out because we'd be all day going over his filmography, but I just wanted to throw it out there because it's fucking cool to get recognized, especially by someone as big as the New York Times, as the number one actor of the 21st century. I'm surprised that The Rock wasn't up there. I wonder where The Rock stood on that list.
Well, I mean, you're talking the entire 21st century. The Rock really only came on uh, basically late '99, whenever fucking Scorpion King came out.
Yeah, but I mean, still, um, it's kind of bugging me. I actually want to know who was number two and everything on this list. Let's see. Okay, there we go. New York Times 25 best actors and actresses. Okay. Wow, it's actually going to make me scroll all the way to the bottom. All right, go to the bottom. Because the bottom has Denzel. And number two was Isabel Huppert.
Never heard of her.
Number three was Daniel Day Lewis.
Daniel.
That's what I said. Oh, my bad. Number four is Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Number five was Nicole Kidman. I'm only going up to 10 people. Number six was Song Kang Ho. Let's see. Number seven was Tony Servillo. Okay. Number eight was Zhao Tao. Number nine was Viola Davis. Viola Davis. Okay. And number 10, I'm going to butcher her name like fucking crazy, but Sari. We're gonna leave it at number 9. So the top 9, because
spell it.
Saoirse.
Yeah, number 9.
Number 9. So yeah, we're gonna keep it there. But yeah, that's a nice little list. Some of them I haven't even heard of. But
I was gonna say, it sounds like they're incorporating everything, not just America.
Yeah. So, but all right, we can go ahead and start getting on into this lost episode. Dougie man, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm definitely more excited to do this than our first foray into the band universe.
Oh, you mean one of our top 5 most downloaded episodes, Doug?
Yeah, after you fuck with the numbers.
I did not fuck with any numbers. I can't not. Well, people kind of troll me because Clefairy's in that list too. So I just think if we talk bad about an episode or we downplay something, that's gonna end up being one of our most listened to episodes.
Should have been doing this from the start. Should have come on here, episode 1. Why are we even doing this fucking show? Nobody's gonna listen to it.
Let's fucking go. Let's go. Okay, I'm sorry.
He just won some money.
Well, not yet, Doug. Don't jinx it. But yeah, I'm up there right now. I'm up there.
We should just consider ourselves lucky he didn't throw his goddamn back out.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let's not McGregor ourselves again. So I'm gonna turn my phone off, and then I will look at it in a little bit. We're gonna do this episode, and I will either be happy or sad by the ending of this podcast. So, do you have the episode up and ready, bro?
I do. Thankfully, you were gracious enough a while back to drop a link in the Skype chat.
Yes.
That I was able to grab. So yes, I am ready to go. I have it muted.
All right, perfect.
I had it muted.
Well, regardless, we do have subtitles, so this will actually be an easier episode to really go over. So we start this week, everyone, with and by the way, everyone, there's no Who's That Pokemon this week.
Sure, there was.
Yeah, it's Dratini.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
Uh-uh.
Who's that Pokemon?
'Twas Toros.
Oh shit! It was Tauros. All right.
Ah,
All right, look at you, Doug. You're ahead of the
yeah,
game today. All right.
yeah.
Tauros was the Who's That Pokemon, and it's funny that he's the Who's That Pokemon because that's the Pokemon that Ash caught the most of in this episode. No spoilers here.
That we don't see.
No, we do. We see
Well, we do a little bit, yeah.
It's a running gag in the show. Which was why I'm glad we reviewed this, because it was a running gag that we had no idea was a running gag because nobody saw this goddamn episode. So we start this episode right outside of last week's episode, and Ash and the gang are trailing through the Safari Zone, and they're now in what looks like to be the legal Pokemon catching Safari Zone, and they're not in a poaching area or anything like that. And Ash is he's happy and he's singing. He's like, we're finally here in our destination. Get that Pokemon, I got you. And he's just trailing along, and the narrator has to kind of clear up for everybody that we are still in the Safari Zone, and Ash has yet to capture one Pokemon in this whole Safari Zone. Doug?
I mean, they're just walking up, man.
Yeah, for real. But the narrator is talking about the future of this episode, that where they're walking up to is filled with Pokemon. So it's understandable how Ash is going to want to sing, because he's finally here. It's taken him two or three episodes, but he's finally fucking here. He can go through these gates and fucking catch these goddamn Pokemon that he's been wanting to capture for the longest time. But they finally get there, and Ash is still singing, and then Brock finally gets into the mood, and Brock starts to sing as well, and we find out that Brock can't sing.
Brock can't sing, and he's also at his wit's end.
Yes. It's because I guess outside of the cartoon, I guess Ash has been singing for a long time. So Misty is listening, Pikachu's happy, and Brock is sitting there, and he starts to sing, and then Brock sings way too loud and disrupts the owner of the gated Safari Zone where you can capture these Pokemon, and has a good old time. Doug, you want to go into the first scene of as to why this episode is banned?
Yeah, because the first time we see him, we don't see him right away. We see the gun that's pointed square at him.
Yeah.
Just wham.
He
fucking motherfucker thinks he's dirty, goddamn Harry.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to hear any of your bad singing. And then Ash is like, yo, dude, what's your problem? And the guy just takes out his gun. He's like, do you want to get shot? I was like, well, whoa. Like, what? This dude had no
short episode.
This dude had no chill. Like on a kid's show, just points the gun and just goes, do you want to get shot? All right.
I mean, if you're coming from his perspective, there can be no mistake on how it happened. Because he could sit there and say, I asked him point blank, did he want to get shot?
And this dude would have been hauled off to jail by Officer Jenny, and he would have been like, I asked him. I told him to shut up, and he didn't want to shut up, and I told him that I would shoot him, so I shot him.
I shot him. I said, do you want to get shot? And he kept going, so I popped him.
Yep. But we're going to find out later on that this guy isn't really fucking around. Like, it's not really even a threat. Like, he will shoot this gun. So we'll get to that in just a little bit. But the trio then apologizes, and the man says, I'll let you go this time, and then invites them inside to go over the rules of the Safari Zone.
Yeah, and then they're Ash and Brock are at the counter, and Ash is presented with a tackle box full of safari balls, and
They're green Pokeballs.
yes,
Eh,
and you're basically, I mean, if you played a game, you know at this point you're only allowed to use the specific safari balls and the rod. And then once again, the guy's like, if you break the rules, and I'm gonna go off the translation because I think it's more funny. The guy goes, if you break the rules, I'm gonna end up having to use my Thunderbolt. And Ash goes, Thunderbolt, and the fucker points it right at his fucking head, right between the eyes.
yeah. And right, and Ash is like, I understand, and he's like, yeah, you can only use these Pokeballs, and once you're out of these Pokeballs, you have to come back, and your time is up. But as long as you have these Pokeballs, the Safari Zone is yours, but you cannot use your Pokemon, you cannot battle with your Pokemon, and anything like that. So what do you think these green safari Pokeballs are made out of, Doug?
I don't know if they're made out of anything in particular. I honestly think they're just this way, just to identify them.
Gotcha. So you think they're regular Pokeballs, just green coated? So
Right,
so when people are leaving, you can tell where they caught this Pokemon.
right.
Gotcha. So,
But see now, because so and now I'm curious because say you're in there,
hmm
or jump to the end of this episode or whatever in particular. Does Ash have to go back into that office with his tackle box full of Poke? Because obviously he can't just be putting them on his belt and walking out. Because then obviously, what's the point of having to use the specific Safari balls?
yeah. So I don't know. I would guess he would, because he wasn't given two baskets. He was given one basket. So you got to make sure not to throw a Pokeball of a Pokemon that you've already caught. So where is he putting?
Right. So
Unless he can put them in his backpack. But we'd have to continue this episode. I can't remember, and I've watched this episode twice. I can't remember if Ash actually wore his backpack in the Safari Zone.
and in the games, because I have a vague memory of going into the Safari Zone at one point. Were you put on a timer, or is it literally here's a handful of Pokeballs? Once you're done, come out.
It wasn't. I mean, it's a timer, yes, but in the game, it was a certain amount of steps. So
Steps.
yes. So in the red and blue video game, once you hit a specific number of steps, you would hear a ding dong, and then they would bring you back into the beginning of the Safari Zone. Yes.
Yeah, I remember getting kicked out, but I couldn't remember what triggered it. Well, not kicked out, but
Yeah. It was.
you're done.
Yeah. It's footprints, and I'm sure that was a way of limiting, because I will never. And I never knew until like later on, because I used to have the Pokemon cheat book where
No.
well, it would tell me where everything was. I mean, that's how I ended up finding out how to get Mew, but because Mew was in a truck. So in the book told you, I think it was like 1,000 steps or something crazy like that, and you had to use your steps wisely, because inside of the Safari Zone in the red and blue version, you had to find some golden teeth that you would have to take those golden teeth and give them back to the person that lost his teeth in the Safari Zone. And it was in the deepest part of the Safari Zone, so you couldn't even be on a Pokemon hunt at that point. You had to find those teeth and just keep darting straight, and hopefully you'll encounter a Kangaskhan, because that was the rarest Pokemon in my head. That, I'm not sure if Dratini was a part of the original. Was Dratini a part of the original Safari Zone in the game, Doug?
I don't think so. If he was, I never saw him.
Yeah, I never saw him either. So
I think I was on the hunt for like a fucking goddamn Rhyhorn.
Those were everywhere, though.
Well, yeah, but still, you gotta. It's not just a matter of finding them; it's a matter of getting them.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, it's at this point Misty looks up on the wall and she sees a younger version of the guy that was pointing the gun at them, and he's sitting right there, right next to Dratini. And she grabs the plaque off the wall and she's like, "Hey, sir, is this you with Dratini? You look so young." And Brock was like, "Yeah, I heard Dratini is in this safari zone, and this dude just lost his shit.
Yeah, because he.
Let's fucking go!" Okay, I'm sorry.
I thought you were turning the goddamn thing off.
I just got the alert that I won. I just won $250. Yes, sir. Oh, all right.
You're gonna do that one of these times, and I'm gonna be in the middle of a really important fucking point. And I'm gonna lose it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm happy right now. Okay, I am so good right now.
Damn it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but he's kind of taken it upon himself to kind of be the protector of obviously not only the Safari Zone, but in particular this Dratini from his youth.
Yes.
And we'll see later. Pardon me. While that's significant.
So, yeah, he gets real defensive, as you were saying, and he goes over and he's like, "No, there's no Dratini here. Don't you go looking for Dratini." And Ash thinks that this is weird at this point and says, "You know what? I don't trust this dude. I'm going to go and call Professor Oak and go and ask Professor Oak." Because why wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, I mean, dude's an old man, Oak's an old man. They have to have known each other.
And of course, and the balls on Ash, even though he just had a fucking gun pointed at him, he's inside of this dude's office using his telephone to call Professor Oak to ask about Dratini. Like, the balls on you. Like, you really want to get shot in this episode.
Again, I asked him if he wanted to get shot multiple times, and he just kept coming.
So it's at this point that Professor Oak says, "Yeah, Mr. Kaiser, because that's the guy's name, found the legendary Dratini inside of the Safari Zone, and word got out about Dratini being in the Safari Zone, and it brought in a lot of people to go in to look for Dratini. And while they were looking for Dratini, all these trainers were catching all these Pokemon inside of the Safari Zone and basically leaving the Safari Zone dry. So I guess it must have taken a lot more work to get the Safari Zone to be back to what it is today. And not even just that, but the fact that people were kind of just trashing the place because everybody wanted a Dratini so they can evolve it into Dragonair into a Dragonite, because Dratini is apparently a legendary Pokemon in the Pokemon world.
Right.
So, but yeah, that was the story of Dratini and this guy. And then Professor Oak just had no chill and goes, "You need to hurry up and send me some Pokemon because you haven't sent me any Pokemon in a long time." And then he hangs up on Ash.
Which, is a fucking fair point.
I know.
I mean, all he has at this point is a Muck and a Krabby. And it's a puny Krabby at that.
So.
And Muck smells, apparently,
Yep. But, all right. So after he hangs up with Ash, Team Rocket was sitting right on top of this building, and they were listening in on the whole conversation with him and Professor Oak about Dratini. Now, can we pause for a second, Doug? I want to actually tell you something, and I want to get your thought on this.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. There's a guy that was on Reddit that went viral, And he didn't only go viral on Reddit, but he went viral in the Pokemon world and gave a synopsis of Giovanni. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
so he said, "Wouldn't it be some shit?" Well, I'm paraphrasing. He said, "Wouldn't it be some shit if Giovanni is Ash's father and Giovanni ran away, which is why Ash's mom doesn't talk about his father anymore, and that he sent these two buffoons of Team Rocket to go and capture this Pikachu, and knowing damn well that they won't be able to capture the Pikachu, but that is his way of keeping tabs on Ash. So he knows what his son is doing at all times."
That would make the movie really fucked up.
Why would it make the movie fucked up?
Because the thing that is created in a lab kills him.
Yeah.
And deadbeat dad or not, that would make me turn face. Like if I was a dickhead father, and I ended up being this goddamn mastermind, and I created this super creature in a lab, and he kills my son.
I'd be pissed.
Obviously it's too late to fucking
But
pull the
but
plug on the experiment because
but you also have to remember, Doug, in the movie, Giovanni was long gone before Ash got killed.
well, but you're telling me he didn't know what was going on?
Well, no, because they're on Mewtwo Island. Remember, Mewtwo made that whole island, and nobody knew what was going on that island because not even Giovanni could keep that Pokemon contained.
Well, right, but if you're working on the theory that Giovanni is Ash's father, he's exhausting his resources at the very least.
That is true.
Making calls, scrambling private jets, doing whatever he's got to do. He's fucking in the war room going, "What do you mean we can't fucking find it? It has to be there somewhere."
So
It's not on any maps.
and So and I also want to throw out there, apparently, because it's already premiered in Japan. Not too many people have given any spoilers on this, but we have a 2 hour long Pokemon the movie Coco, or it's translated here, Secrets of the Jungle, which will be premiering. I believe it's coming to Netflix, but it's the next Pokemon movie, and we're going to get some answers on Ash's father in this movie. So, and that's all that's out there right now. Nobody's really talking. At least I haven't dug too far deep because I don't want it spoiled for me. But apparently, we're getting some answers in this next movie that's coming out, Doug.
I suppose we might as well. He's already won the Pokemon League. Finally, we might as well
For real.
check a few other things off.
So, all right. So back to Team Rocket. I just wanted to throw that out there to see if it would kind of make your head kind of twirl a little bit as to maybe Giovanni is Ash's father.
Nah, I don't think so.
You don't think so? So, all right. So Team Rocket was listening in on the conversation, and they get the bright idea, obviously, that they now want to capture this Dratini inside of the Safari Zone. So they're going to go and look for this Dratini as well. And it's at this point, I'm fast forwarding through, that the trio is given their Pokeballs. They're each given a fishing rod, and the guy, Kaiser, is about to let them into the Safari Zone. And Doug, I'm giving you all the violent stuff, but good old Team Rocket comes into this scene as well as they're getting led into the Safari Zone. And what happens, Doug?
Well, so they're on the roof like we established, and they said, well, shit, I gotta find it. This is the problem with not having fucking an English translation.
Well, you got the subtitles right there.
Well, yeah, but I'm not trying to fucking. I'm trying to talk. I'm not trying to. So they do the spiel, and they they don't get it down. I mean, they get to their names, and then the guy's like, "I fucking told you to get down once, and I'm not going to tell you again." And he fucking starts shooting at their feet, and they fall because, of course, they do.
Yep.
But James says it's okay. I've got a plane, and he's got a parachute, but there wasn't enough space for that parachute to actually catch the wind,
And they just fall.
and they just fucking face plant, and then they can't dig themselves out of it, and then they come up, and it's, oh, what are you here for now? And they say, well, we're gonna
get that Dratini.
get that Dratini, and you can't stop us. And then, for some odd reason, they very easily agree to a catch for catch contest, and if Ash and the crew win, they'll leave them alone, and everything's all hunky dory. Not we're gonna fight you. Just no, we'll all go catch Pokemon, and we'll tally each other. Like, this is a weird episode.
So yeah, that's what they end up doing. They end up going into the Safari Zone. Ash, Misty, and Brock are happy that they're finally in the Safari Zone at this point, and we're finally greeted by a shit ton of Tauros. And Ash is looking at them, and Brock is like, "Here it comes, Ash." And Ash is like, he takes out his Pokedex, and the Pokedex is like, due to the gentleness, it will never attack unless something harms it. And the one attack that it knows right out the womb basically is Tackle, and it's always using Tackle. So Ash is like, "Oh, I want one of these," and Brock is like, "I can use some of these too." And Brock and Ash throw Pokeballs, and this is something I didn't know until rewatching this, that Brock caught some of these Tauros as well.
Yeah, but we never see his.
No. So
I think he ate them.
For real. You feeding Pokemon to Pokemon.
Right.
So yeah. So yeah, Ash and Brock both capture a Tauros apiece, and Ash is kind of let down at this point because he's like, well, that wasn't really all that much fun. And Misty's like, don't let your guard down. There's a limit to the number of Safari balls that you have, so make sure that you capture the Pokemon that you want. And then he sees Rhyhorn, and since you were just talking about Rhyhorn, Doug, I'm gonna give this one to you.
So he says, they're peeking out from the bush, and they say, is it right? It's Rhydon, isn't it?
No, Rhyhorn.
Oh, I thought it was...
Rhydon's the evolved form.
Right, but that is a Rhydon.
No, that's a Rhyhorn.
Motherfucker.
I'm looking right at it.
And so am I.
Bro, the Pokedex just said Rhyhorn.
It says Rhydon, motherfucker.
Is he on all four legs, Doug? Is he on the ground?
It says, the fucking Pokédex says Rhydon, man. I don't know what you want from me.
Yes, it says right. Yes, I see the mistype right now. But when he opens the Poke, it is a Rhyhorn.
Well, again, I don't have.
I know.
Anyway,
I know.
He fucking sees him, and he's like, "Well," he said, "I found him." And like, okay, like you weren't looking for him; you were just looking for something that wasn't Tauros. He said, "I'm gonna catch it," and he's because you can't battle it, right? So this is literally right up his alley. It's basically just chuck and pray, and so he throws, and it looks like it's gonna be because there's not, and then all of a sudden, just a Tauros herd just goes running by again, and he just happens to snare one of them. And he goes, "I got a goddamn Tauros again."
Yep. Yes, he did.
And then the fucking Rhyhorn just meanders away, like he can't just throw one after it, you know.
So yeah, he he ends up catching another Tauros, and Misty has the audacity to look and say, "You gotta aim more carefully," but it wasn't his fucking fault.
Like, what is he supposed to do? This isn't goddamn Wanted where you can curve the Pokeball.
For real. And Rhyhorn starts walking away, and at this point, I'm kind of let down because Rhyhorn's a slow ass Pokemon just walking away. Why the fuck couldn't Ash just get a little closer and throw another Safari Ball at it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, just because it's back turned shouldn't mean that you can't, you know. I mean, you threw a goddamn rock at a Spearow.
For real.
You know?
I forgot all about that. Yes, you are 100% right, Doug. So, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. So yeah, Rhyhorn starts walking away, and Team Rocket is now back in the equation. And they're watching Ash successfully catch all these Tauros, and Jesse's like, no matter what they do, we will get them all anyway. And she's talking to Meowth.
And we find out that they've goddamn got the guy. What's his name?
Kaiza.
They've got Kaiza, and Jesse's got a gun to his temple.
Yes.
Or James.
Well, James has a
gun.
Yep. Right up to the temple. Just right there. So I can see why this episode was banned, Doug.
Yeah, this gun wasn't, oh, if you just cut out one or two scenes. Like, the gun is a central part of the episode.
Yes. So it's at this point that they've kidnapped this guy, and they're asking him where the Dratini is, and God bless this guy's soul, but he will not let his guard down because he will defend this damn Dritini to all end. And Jesse takes out a second gun and points it straight at his face too, and goes, "If you don't tell us where Dratini is, you're gonna get this bullet."
And the guy goes, "So you mean you're not going to play fairly with the kids?" I was like, "You're worried about the kids. You've got two guns at your head." It's like, you know, there's a reason.
Priorities, man. Priorities.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. and then, you know, Jesse's like, "I've had enough of this." She calls out Arbok, and Arbok's got him in I don't know, bind or whatever.
Yeah, bind. And and then it's at this point that we find out Team Rocket has another device, or is that a little later on? Let's see. Hold on.
A bit later.
Yeah.
This is the part where Jesse proposes marriage to the guy if he
tells her where Dratini is,
and he refuses, and
she gets upset.
Jesse basically gets kicked in the nuts, and then we transition to like a
tickle machine.
Yeah, well, I was I was thinking about the interrogation scene with James and Meowth, and then you know
she gives him soup.
they give him a bowl of soup, and then you can have the soup if you tell us, and then he's like no, and then that's when the goddamn tickle machine busts through the wall, so unnecessary, and then starts tickling dude.
Yeah.
And dude's an old man.
And he can't be getting tickled like that.
He's gonna pee himself at the very least.
For real. So this guy, he's like, okay, I'll talk. And I'm guessing subliminally he ends up telling Team Rocket where Dratini is, because we go straight from him saying I'll talk over to the trio again, and Misty takes out a box out of her backpack, and it's a bunch of lures, right?
Right, and her favorite one is one of herself, which is very conceited.
It's conceited and it's creepy at the same time.
And it's creepy, yes.
Because she's basically saying that Pokemon want to eat her up.
That'd be like me saying, "Oh, here, let me flip my lucky coin." And on one side it's my face, and on the other side it's my ass. I don't know.
So Misty puts the lure onto her fishing rod and throws it into the water, and surprisingly, she gets a bite. And it's a pretty big bite because she needs Brock and Ash to help her get the lure out of the water, and they pull it up, and it's a fucking big ass fucking Gyarados.
It's a and if you remember on the is it the second part of the Saint Anne stuff?
Yes.
Gyarados are nothing to fuck with,
Hell no.
especially when they come out of a apparently pissed off Magikarp.
And Misty's like, oh, it's Gyarados. I didn't know that the Gyarados was in there. And then all of a sudden, Mr. Kaiser with the tickle machine, because Team Rocket's a son of a bitch and didn't undo the tickle machine off of him after he spoke to them, but he walks over basically saying that that he needs help.
Yeah, and then pardon me. So we transition rather fast to James and Meowth in school.
Hold that thought real quick. We just skipped over a piece after Kaiser said he needed help. He's being tickled to death by this tickle machine, and Pikachu thunderbolts the tickle machine to break it. And Kaiser then says that he told Team Rocket about the Dratini, and that there's a specific spot inside of the Safari Zone called Dragon Valley, and that Team Rocket is headed over there right now to go and capture Dratini. And that
I never saw no damn Dragon Valley in the game.
I didn't see no damn Dragon Valley either. So
just letting you know that much for sure. Otherwise, so yeah, but that's when we get a brief overview of Dragon Valley, and then we find out that James and Meowth apparently drew the short straw,
and they have to dive into this cold ass water.
So they're looking for it, and they say, "Well, we don't," and we see Jessie sitting on the air tank, and they're like, "We don't see it," and she's like, "Quit complaining, he's around here somewhere." And then all of a sudden, Dratini just pops up, and Jessie's freaking out, and in her process of freaking out and trying to get, pardon me, Dratini's attention, she steps on the goddamn hose
and starts suffocating him.
Cuts off the air, and James and Meowth are turning red and purple and all kinds of shit, and Jessie starts getting, is able to call Dratini over, and it's looking like she's going to just be able to lean over and pick him up, but it's at that point, because of course it is, that James and Meowth pop up from the water about to die. And then, Jessie is pissed. She's like, I almost had him.
I was about to get this Dratini, and if you didn't splash up here, I would have had that Dratini.
And then, we quickly see them recovering on the shore, and Meowth has a big grand plan, and of course it involves dynamite, because why wouldn't it?
that I feel like that's Meowth's go-to.
Well, he's a bad guy in a '90s kids cartoon.
For real.
If we can't blow it up, what are we supposed to do? So we get a flash of
Dynamite going off.
right, all the dead Pokemon and shit. Well, not dead, but
Fainted.
because obviously if they were dead, they'd be of no use. Um, and then Ash and the crew find them, and they're across the river. And they say, "What are you planning on doing?" And Meowth's like, "Don't worry about that. You got to catch this dynamite." And he throws it in the water.
And Ash is also bragging because remember they have a bet going on, and Ash is like, "I used up all my Safari Zone balls, so I won."
I don't think they care.
I don't think so either.
So they obviously Team Rocket knows about Dratini because Jesse saw it. So Meowth throws the bundle of dynamite in the water. Kaiza obviously knows about Dratini, so he jumps in, doesn't even think about it, just jumps in. And Ash goes to jump in after him. Misty stops him. Says, "Well, there's no point in both of you going down there." She throws out Staryu to go find Kaiza and bring him back to the surface. No, well, Staryu goes down with Ash.
Yes.
And Staryu goes over and takes Kaiza up, despite Kaiza's best effort. But then, when Kaiza pops back up, Ash and Misty are under the impression that he would be right behind them. So then they're worried, and then we find out that Ash had to go basically down to the bottom of the sea floor.
All by himself.
And he gets the bundle of dynamite, and as he's on his way up, he then faints and sinks back down. And
if you've ever, and I'm just gonna throw a funny line in, if you've ever heard this line before, and it's at this point that Ash knew he fucked up.
He fucked up.
So Ash floats to the bottom because he couldn't make it all the way back to the top of the water, and then we see a flash of Dratini, and Dratini goes by, and then we get some dark clouds that are passing by, and then the fucking lake starts turning into a damn typhoon.
And it's raining and it's getting really bad, and all of a sudden out from the water we get this silhouette, and once the fucking smoke clears, we find out that there's Dratini just floating there. And who does he have on his back but Ash? And the goddamn Pokédex goes off.
Yup.
So it is Siri.
So
she didn't even have it open.
No, he didn't. So, but yeah, let's see. And I'm fast forwarding it in. So yeah, he's riding Dragonair, and he's in the air, and it's at this point Team Rocket has the dynamite still in their hand because they're idiots, and the fucking dynamite blows up because
Well, no, Ash has a good line. He goes, doesn't he say something along the lines of, "I think this belongs to you"? And
yes.
and they fucking catch it. And then, of course, because it's Team Rocket and it's the end of the episode, they fucking blow up.
Yes, sir. So it's at this point that Team Rocket ends up blasting off again, and then we find out that Dragonair is the Dratini from Mr. Kaiza, and Dragonair has babies now, and she has a baby Dragonite, or not Dragonite, Dratini, and the Mr. Kaiza gets very emotional, and starts to cry. And Misty's like, I wish I could meet Pokemon and train them like this. And Ash is like, me too. And then it's at this point that that we jump straight from that to Ash talking to Professor Oak again. And they're promising not to let word out of the Dragonair or Dratini that's inside of the Safari Zone because they don't want it to get ruined again.
Right.
And good for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's very noble.
So, but yeah, it's at this point that we end up getting to the end of our episode, Doug.
Yeah, like I say, a lot better than Beauty at the Beach.
10 times better than Beauty and the Beast.
10 times better, 20 times better, whatever you want to say. Kind of weird that obviously the contest was a ruse from Team Rocket. They had no intention of competing in the contest. I mean, that just made not only Ash but the group of them just look like idiots because they've been fighting them for a couple months now. They shouldn't be. Pardon me. They shouldn't be falling for this shit.
No, they shouldn't.
So easily.
So, but yeah, it's at this point that after they're done talking to Professor Oak, that we finally get the joke that's going to run a few times in the series of Pokemon, because Professor Oak uses his line. He's like, "Did you finally catch some damn Pokemon?" And Ash is like, "Well, yeah, they should be on their way to you, if not there by now." And Professor Oak is like, "Well, what did you? They're all Tauros." And then you just see the Tauros just trample Professor Oak.
Yeah, he's just fucking run over.
Oh, a feel good moment, Doug. A feel good moment.
I feel good. A bit of a laugh to go out on, which is nice because we had the heartfelt stuff with the reunion of the Dragonair and the revelation of the family, and
so yeah, it's a good episode. But that was the final episode of. I mean that's the final moment of the episode. Until next week when we're getting ready to get out of the Safari Zone and go into a biker gang moment, Doug.
I mean, we're out of the Safari Zone. I mean, and for you in America, all you get is fresh off of his adventures in the Safari Zone, which they might as well have added on, which you didn't see.
Facts.
Had to just. I mean, I don't remember, watching the next episode in particular. So I don't remember specifically throwing my hands up going, "What adventures?" I didn't see no adventures. The last time I saw you, I was dealing with the Kangaskhan kid.
For real. So, yeah, it's a weird episode. I wish it was actually a part of the American series because there was so much that happened in this episode that, I mean, you don't ever find out. I mean, Ash ends up using Tauros later on, but how the fuck did he catch him? But now you know because you're listening to our show, and hopefully you found a link somewhere and you watched the episode as we were going over the episode with you.
Yeah, I mean, all you get really in terms of an explanation of Tauros, because at one point, I think Oak is talking about, like, Gary's total Pokemon versus Ash's total Pokemon, and Ash has a lead, and Ash is getting ready to kind of spike the football a little bit, and then Oak has to pull the rug out, and he goes, "Well, they're mostly Tauros from the Safari Zone."
Yep.
Like, yeah, how? We couldn't even get a flashback,
So yeah, that's it. And hopefully this episode was a lot better for you to listen to us go over than the Beauty and the Beach, even though I did enjoy going over Beauty and the Beach just because of the canniness of that episode.
Well, you know what? This is gonna sound better than Beauty at the Beach because this is our first and only time doing it.
Yep. And we're not doing it twice.
Right.
So that's a plus in itself. So
I'd like to reiterate, I'm never doing an episode twice again. I don't care if it's the best episode I've ever seen. I'm not talking about it twice.
we might if it's a good episode, as long as it's not Beauty and the Beach.
Mm-mm.
Yep.
Mm-mm.
I mean,
you get one go from me.
Doug's like, I tap out. I'm done. I'm a one-shot man.
Hey, I was gonna say they call me one shot, one take, whatever. I don't get paid by the hour.
So, all right. Well, are you good to go, Doug?
Yeah, I think so. Like I say, it's nice to fill in this gap. Because, like I said,
finally, after all these years,
all you're gonna hear next week is after the Adventures of the Safari Zone, our heroes are back. I mean, I just watched it. I don't remember. Something about our heroes are back in the environment of a city. And it's like, what adventures? I would have liked to have seen some adventures. Are we talking about Kangaskhan? They weren't in the safari. You're all confused.
They fuck you right up. So, all right. Well, it's good to know. So we are gonna close out this episode this week then. So say goodbye, Doug.
Goodbye, Doug.
And this is Wrestling Chris G telling all of you don't miss next week's episode because we're back to the American Pokemon with the Bridge Bike Gang, or translated from Japanese, Stormy Cycling Road. Have a good night, everybody.